fled my rigidly pious parents, who desired to marry me off. I thus ran away to Africa, where I met new people, and discovered that I'm not really my father's daughter. I'm nervous and afraid at the same time as I type. Out of 5 children, F25, M28, F28, twins, and M30, I am the youngest at 22. We reside in Utah, and my parents are quite religious. Everything had to be flawless while I was growing up, whether it was friends, social activities, academics, or appearance. I'm not like my siblings in that I've never been interested in science and math. I've been the painter and writer forever. I was 13 years old when I painted a dove on a snowy field and took first place in the competition. I informed my parents, who became upset, that I should have been studying instead of wasting my time on something so useless. I still received A's in every subject. My mother never appears to like me and I never understand her, so she won't even talk to me for more than a few words. Father destroyed the picture to serve as a reminder of what really matters before taking away all of my art tools and holding me accountable for my time management. This has been the situation for as long as I can recall. Since I was 15 years old, I had worked full-time at McDonald's, stealing every last penny I could. In order to help me learn what it meant to be an adult, Father withheld half of my paychecks as tithe. My parents informed me that they would not be providing the same tuition assistance for me as they did for my brothers after I applied to many institutions, believing that sending me to college would be a waste of money. I became enraged as a result. I'm so over being the odd one out because I'm more interested in the arts than in science and math. Then, when I woke up in the middle of the night, I could hear them discussing the ideal man they had located who was ready to take me in, via our church. I'm leaving because I'm afraid. I am leaving the nation with a considerable amount of money stored up. My family had taken trips abroad when I was younger, so I was able to get my passport early on. I also found a position that allows me to work remotely doing freelance design work. Only my laptop, a change of clothes, and some essential documents I grabbed from my father's office are going with me. I have a 5-hour flight scheduled, and I will not be returning. Since I would need to acquire a new number anyhow, I'm not even going to take my phone. As I couldn't tell my parents, my best friend, may God bless her, had been the one making all the arrangements and reservations. Additionally, she has smuggled some of my most valuable possessions that I am unable to take with me. I'll leave her with my tiniest luggage while she parks down the block. I'm worried they'll find a way to hunt me down or pull me back, but I'm not sure how they'll react to this. I'm too nervous to sleep, even though they went to bed more than an hour ago. I'm not sure if there will be any updates. All I want is for them to not stop me. Update 1. Hua. I've had my brain spinning with all that's been going on recently. I'll begin with the positive aspects of the upgrade, and then go on to the negative, joyful pieces. My post's exact destination was suggested to be removed, so all I will say is that I'm in South Africa right now, and it's incredible. The cuisine is incredible, and I received a note from a poster suggesting that I try the rabbit chow, which is real, authentic curry served in a bread bowl. It was amazing. I struck up a conversation with a hotel employee who is around my age, and we clicked right away. She accompanied me to a nearby mall, so I could get some nicer new clothing. That doesn't bother me at all since, well, I'm accustomed to wearing dresses, and they are much lighter and more breathable than many dress materials found in the US. She also advised me to shake out my shoes first thing in the morning, just in case. I've begun my apartment search, and so far it's really affordable considering how outrageously overpriced rent is in the US. It truly is astounding. For example, $81 for a studio apartment with a kitchenette and loft. Housing won't be a problem, but living in a house is a little strange. Buying? For myself, for the entire time I've lived with my parents. On to the less enjoyable parts now. When I read the emails at last, I decided it would be better to just get it over with. There's no other way to describe the rage in my father's email. He said that they lost the friendship of someone they intended to introduce to me since I left so carelessly. He never acknowledged that the 53-year-old was essentially the one who persuaded me to buy. Father said that I owed them almost $85,000 in restitution because of the social relationships that I had harmed and affected by my behavior. In addition, he says that since I clearly can't be trusted, if I don't pay the entire amount due in 30 days and go back home, he will take me to court. That's going to be ignored because I think he's bluffing. You belong to me, and I won't put up with such disobedience after we've given you a roof over your head and taken care of you your whole life, he said as he concluded his email diatribe. It's time for you to make up for the fact that you were never the child we expected. In the next 2 weeks, I anticipate you to return home. Yes, no. My siblings were nothing more than electronic versions of my father, scolding me for defaming our parents' work and then escaping like a coward, unable to take responsibility for my actions. To be honest, I just glanced them before deleting them. Nothing about it surprised me. But my sister-in-law, who is married to my oldest brother, sent her own email first, and then she asked me not to respond because she was going to delete all the signs she provided. She gave me props for going out on my own and avoiding my folks and their expectations. She said that when her parents essentially engaged her to my brother, she lacked the self-control to refuse them. Which makes sense because even at the time I thought it was a little odd that they met and were married in less than 6 months. She begged me not to come back and not to answer. And that was all. Since I truly believe her and find it unfortunate that she is trapped the way she is, it was actually a little unsettling. My closest buddy sent me the last email. She said that my parents had shown up at their house the morning following my departure, asking to see me. It seems like they thought I was hiding with her. They screamed at me to stop acting like I wasn't there, but they wouldn't go. The incident became so out of control that the cops were summoned. But after a little conversation, they let my parents to depart. My friend was particularly enraged by it as he wanted them jailed for trespassing and making threats. All the cops could say was that there wasn't any behavior pattern that would make them worthy of an arrest and charges, before simply walking away. Thankfully, they left her house without telling her when they learned I wasn't there. But news has gotten out that I left my parents' house, and they wanted me to go back because they were worried about me being out on the streets by myself and afraid of what may happen. In an attempt to locate me, the church ward has really searched the neighborhood. From here on, I have no idea what they'll do. They are unaware that I departed the state, much less the nation. Neither my friend nor I have any intentions to say anything. They can continue to live in that state of awe for all of eternity, in my opinion. I doubt I'll give up my US citizenship since you never know when you might need it, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. However, I am fully intending to obtain dual citizenship as soon as possible. As of right now, there are no more pieces, but I'll keep you updated if anything changes. I'm grateful for each and every one of your individual messages and remarks. I can't express how much it means to me that my friends and family seem to be on my side. Thank you very much, everyone. Update 2. I am so grateful for everyone's guidance and support. I can't thank you all enough. Given all of the inquiries and comments, I figured I'd provide an explanation of the events that have transpired since my previous post here. Ironically, my mother, who is British and met my father in England when they were 22, is the reason I use mathematics instead of just math. Therefore, it does come easy to me, and my siblings also speak it that way. People have questioned my decision to go to Johannesburg in South Africa, given how violent the country can be. Although I am aware of the hazards, no place on earth is completely risk-free. Finding someone would be quite tough in Africa due to its vast size and incredible diversity, and regrettably, I had to leave Johannesburg after those films. Gained so much attention. Even if I'm far away, Africa is still where I am. I've been told by many individuals that the neighborhood I'm in right now is really safe. The folks here are amazing, and you will have a very easy time settling in. I might even enroll in this university and earn a degree here. Although I haven't responded to the emails, I have kept them, made copies, and laminated them in case anything happens. I intend to maintain my US citizenship, and my passport is valid for a further 8 years, whatever religion it may be. I don't detest it. A person's connection with God is, in my opinion, quite personal. I believe that a person's option to connect with someone through camping, walks, long drives while listening to music, or acts of service is just as meaningful as sitting in a pew. Maybe even more since they're being sincere with themselves rather than just putting up a front for the outside world. I have no intention of responding to any further emails from my family, save from printing them out for safety. They have called my pal many times, telling her to have fun with them. When your father contacted the first time, demanding that I turn you over, I gave the impression that I was scared and told him your location, which led him to a gay club. When he returned, yelling that I had embarrassed him, I hung up the phone. Every time they phoned, she would do it and give a different address. Her favorite was supposedly making my mother pass out when she sent my folks to a nudist vacation. In order to avoid being followed to me, my companion is moving and eventually intends to join me, although she will vacillate a little. When I did get around to reading it, my uncle's email was just a duplicate of my father's, with an additional note saying that he and the other police officers would be searching for me to bring me home safely before I got into any trouble or damaged myself. I'm keeping an eye out and know better than to venture into shadowy corners and deserted areas. That's all I have for the time being. I will update everyone if anything changes. Seeing and reading how many people support and believe in me warms my heart. In fact, I've started printing out everyone's notes and correspondence so I can store them in a binder for later review. Thank you everybody, really, I really mean it. Edit, when I don't have them hovering over me and making decisions for me instead of letting me make my own, it's easier for me to go on. I was pressured to get married even though Oop is an adult. To be honest, I'm not sure whether I'd have the self-control to confront my father face to face just yet. Perhaps in the future, When I've come to terms with who I am and who I'm not required to be. Update 3. Hi there, everyone. It's been a while since my previous post, and because everyone was still obviously supporting me, my friend told me about a few things that happened that I needed to share. Now that I'm established in a little, I'm having fun with the paperwork. Oh, the amount of paperwork. Although my apartment has 2 bedrooms, I've reserved one for my friend's stay when she visits. I've met a few people in the area and am starting to get by on my own. Dealing with discomfort has been the hardest thing for me since I'm not as familiar with all of those unwritten standards as I was in the US. Consequently, I think about myself a lot, but perhaps that will stop with time. Alright, family. I'm not sure how they found out, but my family knows that I moved out of state. But they do appear to be certain that I am still in the United States. Even though she doesn't make a lot of money, my buddy, a cartoonist, makes more than enough to live comfortably. She made the decision to write my parents a note as she prepared to leave. Gift of goodbye. It wasn't until recently that she informed me about this. She took many hours to meticulously sketch my parents' emotions at each place she emailed them, and she concluded each scenario with the words "Abid, that's all folks." While I've never watched Looney Tunes, regrettably, she claimed to have compared my dad to a ... coyote, as she put it. She claimed everyone else would understand, but even now, I'm not quite sure what that means, prior to directing me to do it. Perhaps in the future. After traveling across the nation a few times, she should be joining me around October 9th. Everything she hasn't sold is kept in a locked storage facility, including the items she has been keeping for me. The most significant insight followed my father. He evidently had a tantrum since I never got back to him. He got into a heated argument with my mother in church using several expletives. Several of them said that my mother had cheated on my father, which is how I ended up here. I suppose this is why she never liked me, as all I did was point out her errors. That said, my father did indeed take her back, so there you have it. There was a lot of uproar in the ward, and meetings were called, though I'm not sure what was discussed or resolved. To be honest, I might never find out. I'm making an effort to move on, and I may even get a tattoo. While some part of me truly wants to, another tells me that my father won't want me if I change enough and he discovers me. Really, that's it for now. I don't know whether I'll have anything else to report, but I'll keep you all updated. I appreciate you sending me so many letters and comments. I do read them all. And you'll never realize how much it matters. Update 4. Hi everyone, I apologize for the delay in providing this update. After my friend arrived, things became really busy. She's done a great job adjusting. Her presence here has been a great comfort as well, since it offers me a sense of stability that I didn't really have before. We've been taking our time to establish new habits and, I suppose, a new normal that suits us both. While it has been difficult, the fact that each day has been so unique has prevented the days from becoming monotonous or blending into one another. I've been chatting a lot to an older neighbor since I got here, and she invited the 2 of us to celebrate Christmas together. It's strange that they plan to serve goat as the primary meat, but I can't wait to sample it. Not seeing Christmas trees around is strange. However, that's still novel, so it's not typical around here. However, several of the dances that my friend and I will be performing are being taught by her granddaughter, since Christmas celebrations here are more akin to a joyous party and get-together than a leisurely day spent exchanging gifts. It's strange since there have only ever been 3 presents presented to my family. My parents said that in order to worship the Trinity, we should have one for our body, one for our mind, and one last for our soul. I believe I was given a new Sunday clothing, some physics textbooks, and a new scripture reading log diary last year. We would go to our rooms after the gift openings and stay there until supper, which was normally prepared by my mother and myself. Here, however, they want to do our hair, have music and dance, along with food and laughter. Of course, gifts are still given, but today's focus is more on spending time with loved ones than on purchasing new goods. I'm ecstatic. For the time being, I've chosen to disregard my family. The reason I didn't report them or confront them is an often asked topic, and while the response may appear simple, it's actually very simple. It may seem silly, but the idea of confronting them in that way terrifies me. I simply don't want to be in their presence, converse with them, or give them thought. Sincerely, I fear that attempting to deliver justice would simply cause me to fall back into the chaos I fled. Even at 22, I still have anxiety about my own relatives. I'm not doing anything to them because of this. If that makes any sense at all, I simply want to act as though my life isn't crazy and bizarre, even if it's just for a short while. I have no idea where I'll be in a year, but I don't find it unsettling to think about it. To be honest, I'm thrilled and eager to see where things go from here. I want to thank each and every one of you. I really do mean it, glancing back. The amount I still get to accomplish is astounding, and it's amazing how things have changed. I'm aware that there are visitors from all over the world, so even if it's not Christmas, I'd still be interested in learning about your customs and what you do throughout the holidays. I'd appreciate any recommendations for food, music, dances, or anything else, as I'm trying to figure out what my new normal is and what I like. Next narrative. After I became pregnant, my ex-boyfriend dumped me and his mother accused me of lying. However, 2 months later he showed up with gifts for the baby. That means myself, 22F, and my 26M ex-boyfriend. Before I found out I was pregnant, we had been dating for almost 3 years. At that point, he declared, "I don't want this anymore, things are moving too fast." Long story short, he eventually got me to move out of our flat. I blocked him on everything after moving home with my mother and began thinking about getting an abortion. Simply put, why bring a child into a broken home? Was my thought. Why would I want the father of my firstborn to never have desired them? But when it came down to really doing it, I simply couldn't. I would cry for no apparent reason, but I made the decision to retain it. All of this took place in May. On June 11th, though, I miscarried. I had an ectopic pregnancy. I won't go into the specifics of the miscarriage. I thought about telling my ex about it when it happened, but I decided against it because I was scared of his reaction, which I knew would be something like bullet well dodged. I reasoned that he wouldn't care, because he didn't want it anyhow. I loved my goddess of a mother, who supported me through it all since she had experienced miscarriages herself and understood how I felt. Let's go back to 2 days ago. I received a call from an unknown number, but I chose not to answer. However, it made 2 more calls before hanging up. I never answer anonymous calls, so I didn't assume it was him. "Hey, it's ex-boyfriend name, can we talk?" was the text I received from the number last night. I didn't reply, and this morning he came up to my mom's house when I wasn't there. I responded to his SMS by saying, "Yeah, we can talk, but don't just show up at my mom's house. We arranged a meeting," and he brought a present bag when I arrived. He summarized the conversation by saying, "You look great, you won't even look pregnant. Me, I'm not that guy anymore." "What do you mean? Did you get an abortion covertly?" "Me, well, I miscarried him, so why would you care about him if you didn't think to inform me? You didn't want him because that's my effing child, that's why." "I know, which is why I came to see you, but anyway, he left me a gift bag filled with baby items." I was quite uncomfortable. Presumably he informed his mother since she contacted me angrily, accusing me of being a nasty person for concealing this, and implying that I'm lying and canceling it. Apply salt to the injured area. I don't want any more trouble, so I'm afraid to tell my mom, but I do feel horrible since having a kid is a huge issue and not everyone is ready for it at first, so my thoughts are all over the place at once. Lord knows she'll fight that old lady for talking to me crazy. So, are there any opinions in this room? Was what I felt correct, or was it incorrect? A revision. I appreciate everyone who has sent me condolences. It helps to know that my feelings are understandable. As several of you said, I'll be notifying my mother and donating the baby stuff. I'm grateful for everyone's efforts to support, but please avoid making insensitive comments like "be happy the baby is in heaven," and you're not tied to them. Or anything like, especially because what occurred puts my fertility as a whole at danger. I'm not sure whether I will update, but if something else occurs, I might. Revision, July 3, 2024. I sincerely appreciate all of the suggestions, good and bad. It enabled me to better regulate my emotions. It had great significance. I also followed nearly every piece of advice I was given, starting with my mother's. I informed her about the call I got from my ex's mother, who I'll just refer to as Sarah to avoid confusion, and I exhibited the post to her. I did implore my mother not to respond, but she advised against caving into individuals such as Sarah. If you allow them to continue talking incoherently, they will do so in the future. I let my mom handle it since I really didn't want to talk to Sarah or my ex. Having my mother fight my issues becomes juvenile, but I'm reaching my breaking point. My mother texted Sarah after realizing. I apologize if the message is difficult to understand. I tried to modify or remove certain names. Sarah, this is my mother. Hello, it now came to my attention that you had contacted my daughter and accused her of having an abortion covertly. Firstly, let me state that this is not your concern, and that you should know better than to disparage a mother who has recently lost her kid because you are a mother. With all due respect to the boy you have raised, you of all people ought to be the last to label others as bad. Were you aware that your son urged her to leave their apartment because he thought 3 years was too young for a commitment when he learned that your name was pregnant? Or are you just indifferent? Although we owe you no explanation about my name or the pregnancy, I will be kind enough to forward those hospital reports to you. But when I do, my son and I will be seeing you. And yours if you keep disrespecting us. That is something I can assure you of. Hours passed with no words, so I assumed this message would be the last one. My mom was waiting for a response, but I blocked them, so they can't reach me. Until once more, my ex unexpectedly turned up with his mother, which understandably infuriated my mother. Sarah stated that all they wanted was an adult chat, but my mother urged them to go since we were busy and to come back later. She was lying because she wanted to wait to tell anyone until my brother got home. Sarah, to my surprise, had my ex apologize when they returned. It seems that she was told a quite different tale. She was informed that while I didn't want a kid, my ex was ecstatic when we found out I was pregnant. I lost it when he informed me that having an abortion was not an option. I stormed out of the flat and banned him on all social media. When I got in touch with him months later and asked to meet, he assumed I had changed my mind, which is why he had bought the baby things as a celebration. Sarah thought I had lied to her about the miscarriage because of the emphasis on abortion in his account. This made me laugh out loud, because of how much of a liar that man is. It appears that Sarah was disturbed by this because she began talking about it again, this time adding, "But I still feel you owe my son an apology because you still pretended to be pregnant knowing it died. If you hadn't let him on, you could have at least told him." She did have a condescending tone in her voice, and she stressed that term so much that it annoyed me. I had to put the caps on dead, but I chose to go to my room instead of saying anything. After that, I heard everyone shouting at each other, but I tried to block it out and, to be honest, I just sobbed till I fell asleep. We apologize to anyone who were hoping to read about a major rumble, but this is the situation we are in at the moment. There is no logic with those individuals, so I just want to go on. I wish the rumble had happened too. She truly needs her dentures taken out. To wrap things off nicely, I discovered a women's shelter to give those baby things to, and I'll probably seek for a therapist as well. Once more, I want to thank everyone who offered me advice or coping mechanisms. I didn't think more than 10 people would read this, so I appreciate everyone who confirmed my feelings. It's comforting to know I'm not the only one who finds this funny.